Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David here at WeAreTottenhamTV, and I cannot wait for today's game. As you can see, West Ham's cup final, all these bubbles blowing everywhere. Absolutely loving today. Brian, two rivals take the field at the Track and Field Stadium today in the London Derby. I mean, what's your thoughts heading into today's game? Are you pumped up? You excited, my man?
Oh, it don't matter anymore. After you putting bubbles out there, that's just what the hell? You're prop man. Yeah, listen, this is it's a huge game, isn't it? It's a huge game whenever we play each other. They started very badly and then got their win, and we need to stay undefeated. This game at this stadium is, I think, the only time we've actually played well there is when Jose had his first game, and I think there was another one we won 3-2 when Ericsson was playing. It's always a struggle at this game. We make this game very, very hard for ourselves. I honestly thought you were about to eat the bubbles then.
I am about to eat West Ham alive.
Oh, okay, there we go. So yeah, it's good. This is going to be a very, very tough test. A very tough test.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not allowed to speak today. I'm censored this week. But Sai, how are you keeping, my man? You ready for today's big London derby?
I'm good, guys. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, of course. This is always exciting because it's their cup final, so they're always up for it. But yeah, I think in general, jokes aside, I think this is going to be a really top game. I think they've got a couple of new players coming. I'm not sure whether they're playing or not yet. I haven't seen the team sheets, but yeah, I think we're in a bit of a better position in terms of performances, that's for sure. But, you know, they turn up for this game. That's the thing. And as you said, exactly, both of you correct there. Like, we have to be on top of this. Like, we've seen the last few games, we've perhaps not been performing as we should, but still getting the results, which is really good. But we need to make sure that we balance that properly today, because I think this is, you know, obviously Chelsea is a big game, but I think this is actually a proper test for us today. We have to do this. So should be a good one.
Yeah, I'm absolutely pumped up. That pumped, in fact, I went out and got my West Ham away starter pack today just so I could see what's going on the field. I'm absolutely...
You're on form. You're on form, David.
He's been waiting for this for a long time.
Unbelievable. He's been planning this all day.
I've been waiting for this since I walked out of the stadium singing West Ham get battered everywhere they go. Last time I was there, I've been waiting for this. This is what I'm now dubbed the Irish Hotspur Derby. That's what it's called. I cannot wait.
Where are the bubbles coming from, David? Actually, don't tell me. I don't want to know.
I know, I'll tell you. So I went down to the shop earlier on. I bought a bubble gum and I paid my missus €1 to stand there and spray it at me. So that's where the bubbles have come from today. But yeah, look, I think today is going to be a tricky game. Look, West Ham are not in the best of form, but they are going to be absolutely up for it. We know these London teams love turning up for Tottenham, but I will say we haven't won our last two there, I believe. But different mentality, different manager. Let's get at them today and let's go and get them 3 points. And of course, guys, we'll be taking you all the way through to the live watch along as well. And the guys in studio. Daigle, do you know who's in studio today?
I do indeed. It is Rez and Nick, Barry, Sean, Phil, Grant. He's going to put on a show for you. The man with 1,000 names.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So Ranjit and Rez are in the studio today, guys, and they'll also be taking the post-match fan show, which I cannot wait for as well, especially if we win. It's going to be absolutely celebrations. I cannot wait. Now, guys, we are waiting for the team news that will be out in about 20 minutes' time. So as soon as that is out, we're Cricket and Usain Bolt. We are straight on it. Now, of course, we'll tell you everything you need to know. Of course, West Ham fans would call it the London Stadium, but we are away at the Track and Field Stadium. Kickoff is at 7:45 p.m. Referee is Peter Banks. And like I said earlier, hopefully he keeps that word Banks and it doesn't turn to Wanks. Hopefully he gives us a good decisions today. And Stuart Atwell, who actually has been kind to us, he was in the VAR room against Nottingham Forest and gave us that penalty. So hopefully he'll have another good one there today. Of course, we are expecting Basuma to be, or not Basuma, Benteke or Bentekers to be out picking up concussion against Nottingham Forest. So we all expect Basuma to start, and Mora and Gil Messi as well expected to miss out. Now, West Ham, Craig Dawson, Agard, Ben Johnson and Aaron Cresswell, who are all supposed to miss as well. Cresswell, of course, does take a lot of their set pieces, and Craig Dawson is a good area threat from them. So that's good to see them out. I absolutely cannot wait for this one. But guys, I mean, you know, Brian, do you see us continuing our unbeaten start today in West Ham's Cup final?
Look what I'm wearing. Look what I'm wearing. Of course. This is going to be, look, we said it before. And like I said, I went on We Are Tottenham TV after the Forest win. And I did my interview and then they clipped it and I said it. And so many people don't listen to a word I say. because I was saying, listen, we played well. Oh, sorry, no, I didn't say that. I said we're getting away. We played poorly, and we're getting away with it, and that's the good sign of a good team, which is going and playing bad and getting the results. So that's what I said to begin with, which is positive. But then what I said was we are getting overrun in midfield, and we're not turning up in the first half. And there's only so long you can get away with that before you get punished. This is the Premier League. This is the hardest league in the world, and you cannot do it. And then I had people say, "Oh, Brian, you don't know what you're talking about. If we'd been more clinical, we would have had 3 or 4 more goals." And I was like, "Isn't that the same with everyone? With 17 of Forest's chances, if they had been more clinical, would they have scored more goals? We can't do this, and we know what it's like. I mean, the last game with Nuno was ridiculous, wasn't it? It was one of those no chances on target and we were just absolutely clueless and getting done on set pieces.
Yeah,
and they do turn up at this game. When we were going for the league against Chelsea, who ruined it? West Ham. They just raise their game every single time they play us, and especially on their patch. So we cannot, because the fans at West Ham are going to be so up for this. And if we let them get into the West Ham players and we don't put in a first half performance, we could be in for trouble.
Yeah. I think we will be in trouble. I think mentality is very important today. But Simon, I mean, last year we lost 1-0 there. And we've lost our last 2 at that track and field stadium, but we beat them 3-1 at home, and we beat them well as well. We beat them into submission, to be honest with you. They were that close to tapping out. But, I mean, what sort of Tottenham do you think will turn up today? Do you think it could be the Tottenham that's turned up to the track and field stadium the last couple of times? Or do you think it'll be the one that turned up at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? Because we need 3 points against the bubble enthusiasts today.
Well, it definitely has to be the latter, regardless. I think the thing is, with all the media attention now, and particularly Conte coming out as well, and even the players now in all their transcripts after games and in the articles and stuff, they're already stating that they know this is a problem. They know that they're not waking up in this first half, and they come out in the second. Now that they're admitting that, it becomes more apparent to the opposition. So you're going to start getting opposition coming at us left, right, and centre. I mean, I think Forest, to be fair, I don't know how they didn't, score the other day. It was absolutely crazy. But with no disrespect, maybe a better team would have put some more goals away if we were to perform like that with higher teams, as it were. So, for sure, off the offset, we need to be ready for that crowd. More importantly, I think the crowd will energise the West Ham team. West Ham are those dodgy teams for us, as you say. Like, they just turn up for our game. They could be having the worst run possible, but they'll always turn up for this one. And that's why I said this is probably a bigger test than the Chelsea game, because Chelsea, we always anticipate usually that we don't really get anything there anyway. But with this one, it's an anticipation that we should be winning this one, but it's probably a bigger test for us, I think. And particularly with the last fixtures, one of the other key points is that Conte would mention that the first 3 games that we played in the season are games that we lost or didn't get points at all or anything like this in the last season. Let's define that for this game as well. Let's not let that statistic run away with us, and let's get that win today so that we conclude that actually we are progressing, we are getting better in these fixtures and changing our mentality. So this is really important. I don't think Conte will accept another first half performance like the last 4 that we've had, in my opinion.
Do you know what? I couldn't agree more. I think we've got to show up for the full 90 minutes today. I really do. If you look even at the stats over the last while, since the season has started, Tottenham have not done well for the first 15, 20 minutes, then gone into it and then phased out for the last 15 minutes of the first half. But then second half, we're pretty much dominant. So we have to, but today we won't get away with that. The thing is with West Ham, any set pieces, free kicks, corners, they will deliver into the box. We do zonal marking, not man marking. So the likes of Soucek, Rice, who else have they got there? There's a couple of other big boys. They'll be running at us, and they're going to beat us to every single set piece purely because we're jumping from a standing start and they're running at us with momentum. So I fear from set pieces there, but I also fear from the amount of shots we've given up. We've given up there's only 3 teams below us that has given up more shots than Tottenham on goal in the last 4 games. And for me, I think that's a concern as well, because you got players like West Ham who can take these opportunities from in and around the box. So I'd like to see us, be a bit more proactive about defending today. But at the same time, we've got some unbelievable attacking players. And if it did click, we could have smacked Forest on another day, but it didn't. And hopefully today it can click. But I will say, by all means, stuff that Tottenham have been putting out, it's been Richarlison and Perisic on the cover. So I wonder, is that giving us an indication of what's to come up when the teams are out? But look, before the teams get announced, they would be out in about, 12 minutes time. That back line. So look, Sanchez, Dyer and Davies, the last 2 games, they've kept a clean sheet. Does Romero then walk straight back into that back line today? Or do you think he'd be held back for Fulham?
Put it this way, if I had my choice, he's 100% fit, he walks straight back in now. Because David, we've spoken before. I've said before with Sanchez, I've tried to have his back and tried to defend him and tried to. Yeah. And as I said to you, Davinson Sanchez is the only player that I know in world football that doesn't need minutes in his legs to get better. He starts off at his peak, and if he plays more than 4 games, he goes backwards. And West Ham is too big a game. It's too big of a game. If he is fit, he has to walk in. If you know what I mean, if you look at it, what's the bigger game? You look at it. This is a bigger game. Even though Fulham has started off better, and Mitrovic is proving to be a real problem. If it was to be Sanchez in that game, whatever, at least his power can deal with it. But I think in this game you have to have Romero. Every big game, one of the first names on the team sheet. If we asked everyone, if we asked everyone in the first 3 or 4 Romero. Romero is one of those first names on the team sheet, and if he's fit, he has to start.
I agree. I think for me, I think the guy's an absolute savage, and he's bought for games like this. He's made for games like this. The rivalry, you hear he's loving them, the support that the fans are giving him. And if you put him out there today, hopefully he can pocket Mikel Antonio like he done at the Hotspur Stadium. He did not want it whatsoever. But Simon, is there an argument for keeping Sanchez in today purely to deal with set pieces?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, as Brian said, I'm used to Sanchez now last few years. I always try and back any Spurs player that wears the shirt, and I think with Sanchez has had some brilliant games, and the statistics don't lie. I think I saw it the other day about the amount of games or hours that he's played, and we haven't conceded while he's played. So there's that advantageous aspect. But as we said, West Ham are a dangerous, tricky team, and I would call it a mistakes game. And the reason I call it that is because in the past with West Ham Spurs games, it's always been a mistake that we've conceded a goal with. And out of those 2 players, Sanchez is the most likely player to always have a mistake in him. And that could become crucial in any moment in the game. So there's an argument as well to say that you play your best players whenever they are available. And the argument is that Romero, regardless to the statistics of goals conceded, Romero is arguably the better player than Sanchez. So you have to go with that if he's fully fit. If there's an inkling that he's not fully fit, then you can't really play him. I don't want to go down this route of having him injured half the season like he was when he first started, if you remember. And it did cost us a lot. Albeit that Nuno was the manager, it cost us a lot in that defensive period. So that in itself is conclusive in my head. Of course, I'd like to see Sanchez in. If Romero's not playing, absolutely, Sanchez needs to go in there because he's the most experienced out there. But if he does play, he needs to be on the ball. And this is the problem, especially with Emerson playing. I've noticed every time I'm at the games, because I sit close enough to know that when these 2 are playing together, it's like the rest of the team have to do double work. And we can't afford to do that today. We have to have every individual player, like you said, with zonal marking or focusing on an individual West Ham player. We can't afford to have 3 or 4 other players being pulled in because these guys don't know what they're doing. So it's a bit of a shame for Sanchez, if he does get pulled out. But I think he's probably going to understand that Romero is going to come ahead of him any day. So I don't have too much concern with it. But yeah, obviously, if he's playing, then that's Sanchez's opportunity to come step up and show us that actually it isn't a 3-4 game mentality like Brian said, which is absolutely accurate, because every time this happens, we will get behind Sanchez and then he falls apart with one silly mistake and then he's back on the bench for X amount of games. So we'll have to see, won't we? But I think if the choice is there, Romero has to be picked. He's the better player out of the two.
I agree. For me, look, I even think you'll see Tottenham improve on the football in terms of possession. Look, the last few weeks, take the Chelsea one out, we were always going to be a bit under the cosh there. But against Wolves and Forest, we were very slow, in fact, pedestrian in terms of possession on the ball coming out from that back line. But when Romero's there, we do seem to get out a lot easier because he has that passing range. He can go 40 yards. He can go 10 yards. He can pop it around the corner. But I also notice Emerson looks a hell of a lot better beside Romero. I don't know if people agree with me on that, but I do. I think Emerson looks a lot better beside Romero than he does with Sanchez.
Yep.
I think the two of them both know there's potential for a mistake to happen when they're both playing alongside each other, and it worries them. They also get in each other's way a lot. And when I seen Sanchez pointing at Emerson to come back and stand beside him 5 yards away from him so he could pass him the ball, I absolutely lost it. For me, Romero doesn't do that. Romero, one touch, plays it around the corner and looks to go and receive it again. So hopefully with Romero in today, you will see a lot better Tottenham in terms of possession. Now, guys, next one I do want to move into, we've got a super chat there from Enio Rodriguez, and we'll get to that just in a few minutes, but I do want to talk about a bit more about the lineups before they're out. But everybody feel free to smash that like button. In fact, you want 3 points tonight, you want them signed, sealed and delivered, absolutely obliterate that like button. Do it with your head, the elbow. It's London Derby Day, it's that sort of day, so smash it. Also the subscribe button, and feel free to get your super chats in with your talking points, and we will have a discussion on it. But it does look like Bissouma will be taking up his place finally from the start in Tottenham's midfield. Brian, how much of an impact do you think that'll have? Because a lot has been aimed at our two midfielders the last few weeks. Do you think Bissouma will be able to improve what the critics have said about our midfield?
Well, you know what? And I spoke to you about this, David, when we did the Forest game, when I said, you know what? The midfield's getting overrun. I wanted to see the three of them together and say, right, let's just shut this midfield down and then give it to Son and Kane, or Kane and whoever's up there to do what they do, because big up Wayne, brother. So yeah, that's I've wanted to see Bissouma. When this transfer came in, everyone was like, yes, thank God. Finally, we can say there's someone to the heir to Dembele's throne. There's someone that can be there. And seriously, we've seen what he's done at Brighton, that could seriously do the business for us. I'm upset that it's coming at the expense of Bentancur because of his injury. And I like I said, I really would have loved to see the three of them together. But this is the kind of games, you know what, where we need him. If he can do to one of their players what he did to Harry Kane, he honestly, on his debut, he could be the key to this game. He really could. He is such a special player. And hopefully we will now start to see why we got him, why he was so highly rated, and what a game to bring you in for your Premier League for your first team debut from the start. And it's absolutely a game that's made for him. For me, he is a huge part of what happens in this game.
100%.
I'm just getting a drink. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
No worries. Just keeping an eye on the chat there, and we've already got one reeled in. Here we have the hammers. So guys, get your hard hats on. There are a few rubber hammers knocking around the chat there. We don't want anyone to get hurt before the game. They think they're dangerous, so guys, get the hard hats on. But also, I encourage, give it to them as well. They're bubble enthusiasts, so make sure they know that. But Si, do you think Bissouma would add a different dimension to the midfield that maybe we don't already have?
Yeah, definitely. I think energy and power. I mean, to be fair, like that midfield, Bentancur and Højbjerg, whether people think of each of those individually, they do have the energy capacity. But I think Bissouma has a bit of an edge to a different kind of style of play. He can do that defensive aspect. He can get the balls through, but also he's got goals in him. And this is what I'm going to find quite interesting, because we know that he can hit balls at that goal on target, and most of the time in the back of the net when he does so. On numerous occasions when he played for Brighton. So this could be another dimension that we don't have from those kind of area plays at the moment. I think like Højbjerg, I know he gets a lot of stick, but I do think he's a good player. Whether he plays or not when Skip's available, or as we've seen, like now Basuma, it's going to be interesting to see a new dimension to this. And I think as well, every time Basuma's come on, as he has done this season, the energy's been brilliant. The enthusiasm's been brilliant. And I love what he did at the end of the Chelsea game, going to the fans and bigging them up like over and over again. That's what we want to see. He's not even been playing properly for us, and he's got so much energy and enthusiasm. That's what I want to see. And that's not to say that the existing two midfielders don't have that. Bentancur is a phenomenal player. I love his footwork. Højbjerg's getting more and more into it every game. His statistics do not lie as well. But yeah, it's time for Basuma to show us what he can do in a big game. And I do think we need the energy and the power in this game today, because West Ham traditionally over the last few years have had a very strong midfield. And what I mean by strong as well, I mean physicality.
Yes.
So I think Basuma is going to act as a big defense mechanism for that, but also be able to penetrate them on hopeful counterattacks, or at least positional play when he can get that ball off them in midfield. So I think, it's probably really good timing, and we know that Conte absolutely loves him, and we want to see what he's about. And this is the perfect game to do it. Put a performance in today, and you're a hero for the rest of the season almost, particularly from the kind of game that it is. So that's my thoughts on him, really.
I also think he'll be chomping at the bit. I think he's been waiting for this moment to impress and show what he can do. And I'm actually expecting a really, really good performance from this guy. And I kind of was agreeing with Dig. I can't wait to see him just pick up the ball, run through a few players, seeing players, bouncing off on his way through. And that's why I call him Bamusa, after the great Musa Dembele. So hopefully we can see a bit of Bamusa come out tonight. I think he'd be ready to go. I think he'd be snapping and snarling at Declan Rice. In fact, Basuma's actually texted me. He said he's got the rice cooker on, so I cannot wait. He's about to cook some rice. I cannot wait to see that. Now, lineups are out in just 1 minute. So what we'll do is we'll start with Dig, and we'll get his thoughts on Sonny and Richarlison. Like I said earlier, Richarlison is on the front of a lot of match day stuff they pushed out today. Do you think Son takes to the bench today and Richarlison comes in?
I don't know. You can't say that, because you get done for treason. You cannot say, even if Son is on the bench, I don't believe it till we're on the pitch, because you can't say a bad word about him. Do you start Son, or would you go Basuma? I think
Richarlison.
Richarlison. I think the only reason I say Richarlison, and it isn't because Son isn't performing well, listen, one thing I will say about Heung-min Son is that guy can have 3 off games, 4 or 4, whatever four. The guy has given us 7 years of world-class service and has had to play every single game, whether he's fit or not, because we don't have the squad. Yeah. Well, now we do, and now there's Europe, and now we want to be challenging. The way you keep your team fit.
Just quickly, Daigle, I'll have to interrupt you and we'll get back to you. But the lineups are out.
Let's do it.
Hugo Lloris is in goals. Emerson Royale retains his place at right wing back. Sanchez, Dyer, and Davies across the back three. So no Romero today, with Perisic at left wing back. Højbjerg and Basuma take up the midfield, with Kulu, Sexy, Sonny, and Kane forming the front three. On the bench, we've got Fraser Forster, Clement Lenglet, Japhet Tanganga, Jed Spence, Sessegnon, Doherty, Skip, Sarr, and Richarlison. So no Romero in the match day squad whatsoever.
Can you just read the sub-bench back again, David?
Yeah, Fraser Forster, Clement Lenglet, Japhet Manhandler Tanganga, Jedi Spence, Ryan Sessegnon, Matt Doherty, Ollie Skip, Papa Matt Sarr, and the one and only Showboat Richarlison.
So 5 defenders on the bench, 1 striker. Attacking option at a premium. Word up. That's all I'll say about that. That's all I will say about that. Once again, we were swapping the youth for just defenders now, but we're not talking transfers right now. That's just wound me up.
What do you think of no Romero on the match day squad, Brian? Why do you think that is? Because apparently he was fit enough.
Do you know what? It could be a bit of what Simon said. The one thing we don't want is him coming back a little bit earlier, playing his heart out, going in for a challenge that Romero's capable of doing more damage and being out for longer. So I think with Champions League as well coming thick and fast, maybe giving him an extra bit of time is what Conte will be thinking. Like I said, I would have started. I would have started with him, but obviously Conte knows a hell of a lot better than me. Heung-min Son starts. I was going to say that I want Richarlison to start, but only because of the shithousery he'll give that defense. That's the only that defense. We have a diamond in our. If you want to have someone to come on and wind a player up and get teams to have needless yellow cards and let the occasion get the better of them, it's Richarlison. Without a doubt, it's Richarlison. Son starts. Listen, we all love him. We all love him. If you're a proper Tottenham fan, you're not one of these people that say sell him. He's crap. He must be dropped. He will start, and you know what he's capable of doing. He'll probably score tonight, and then it will be the smiles back, and then we love him, and everyone will drop everything. He's going to start. He's going to start, or he is starting. So we have to deal with it. Hopefully, he does put in a performance, because if not just him, or if him and the team do like the other first half performance, this kind of Son hate, which is absolutely pathetic, it's just going to get worse, and it needs to stop.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. But look, I'll be honest, I am glad Son started today. I predicted he would start today, and Richarlison would get the nod against Fulham. I think Son will score a goal today to hopefully put an end to questions surrounding his form. But look, Simon, we'll get your initial thoughts on the lineups, and then we've got a couple of super chats to get to, so we'll get to them. So, Si, thoughts on the lineups, my man, immediate reactions.
Yeah, I think it was largely expected, to be honest. I think obviously the injury situation with Romero is unavoidable. That was kind of already a tick box. I think the main question about the lineups today was going to be the Son Richarlison conversation. I'm a huge fan of Son. Every player in the world has some bad moments and some good moments, right? And form is temporary, class is permanent, as they say, and that's absolutely right with him. He has been off the boil. Just because he smiles a lot doesn't mean that we can't have an opinion about it. At the end of the day, we need our players to perform now, like irrespective of emotional attachment and what we believe in certain players. We have to step this up. We have to grow up in that sense. You look at the game, teams like City and everyone. If a player in those teams doesn't perform after 2 games, they're out and they're replaced until that replacement player stops playing well. So there is that argument, but also with Sonny, there's obviously a confidence situation there or something. I don't know whether it stems from the summer when his dad was saying about his his aspirations and should be winning stuff or whatever it is. I don't know. Could it be the arrival of Richarlison thinking, well, actually, hang on a minute, I'm not the top gun in this position anymore necessarily. But then that's down to you as a player to step up to that. So, as I said, I'm a big Son fan. He's an absolutely phenomenal player for us. I enjoy watching him all the time. And I'm sure he'll spark to life. But again, this is a big game. Son usually does quite well against West Ham in general anyway. So I'm not fazed, really. I would love to see Richarlison start a game just because I want to see him in action from the first minute. But, it is what it is. But in general, for that whole team selection, it is kind of what I expected. And I feel it should be and is good enough to win this game. There's arguably, you can't control some games and the atmosphere and other teams being up for this, but it's within our grip to do this, and it's our own fault if we don't win it. So we have to go all guns blazing. It's a strong team that we're putting out there, regardless of who's selected, and we've got a few options on the bench if we really need to. I'm more than happy with it.
I'll be honest, I'm a bit nervous about that back line, especially the back three of Davies, Sanchez and Dyer. What I noticed is when teams are running at them, their first instinct is to back off, and they back off too deep into the box, and they don't engage enough. And when you look at what West Ham have up front, I'll just tell you here today, it's Bowen, it's Mikel Antonio, and Fornals and Benrahma. They will run at them players, so we do. And they all have, Bowen and Benrahma have decent shots in them along with Fornals. So we do have to look to engage them a bit higher than what that back line has done before. In midfield, and they're up against Sushek and Rice. For me, I think it's going to be a fascinating battle, Højbjerg and Basum in there. It's going to be a lot of dog work all game long. But if we can get on top of that, I think we'll definitely take the game to them. With Son, first of all, I want to say this because I get it when I have my critiques of Sanchez. No one here hates the players, but you're well within your right to critique or ask questions about them. Now, look, when it comes to Sonny, I said during the week, I think, we needed to show him a bit of loyalty, considering this guy is showing us loyalty. He was the only one that turned up under Nuno. He was signed his contract when Kane, and there's questions around Hugo Lloris, who, by the way, 10 years today, big up Hugo, a good performance from you today, buddy. But I think and someone that's very loyal, you've got to show them loyalty, because if not, that's where the fractures start to happen in the relationship, because they're like, well, they start questioning, why aren't the club being loyal to me? So I am glad that we showed him that loyalty and put him out there today. Now, I just hope that Sonny repays it. For me, I think he looked better against Forest. I'm not saying he was great, but he looked better, and hopefully we'll see a much more improved Son today. A derby day can do wonders for people's confidence. He can get you up for the game, can do wonders for your psyche, and I think Son's one of them players who will rise to the occasion. And if he doesn't play well, bring Richarlison on. But just because we got Richarlison there, we shouldn't be so quick to call for players to be dropped that have done nothing but help this 6, 7, 8 years. I seen it with Harry Kane last summer. Now Son this time around. I do think some of the fans need to get a bit of respect for our world-class players. Fans that are talking about selling them and stuff like that. Honestly, I don't know what you're on. These guys have turned up for Tottenham time and time again. Kulusevski has an amazing impact. So just let the rotation happen organically. Let it happen naturally. We've got, 7 games in 24 days now? That's 2 games a week. You know what I mean? Nearly every 4 days you're being rolled out there, 3 days in some occasions. So the rotation will happen. And I'm glad it looks like it's going to happen against Fulham rather than tonight, because you can't take any chances tonight. If these lot beat us, they're unbearable. We had to listen to them for almost the majority of last season, and they're absolutely unbearable. In fact, their bubbles blow higher than they've ever finished. But yet they keep yapping. So I'm glad we have not took any chances today, and we've gone with the strongest possible lineup. I'm absolutely buzzing about that. And Big H will be ready to score goals today. I can feel it. I just feel it in my bones. But Anillo Rodriguez says the first half performances are worrying. If we are playing the Scums today instead of West Ham, I'd be worried. Let's hope we start showing up. I mean, Simon, you're nodding your head. What do you want to say to Mr. Rodriguez here?
Yeah, no, it's exactly that. I mean, this, to be fair, isn't a new thing. I remember even in the pandemic year and last season as well, we don't come out of the gates. And I never understood why. We always kind of step back or let other teams come to us. And then we find ourselves in a bit of a pickle for the remainder of that half, or at least coming out in the second half to do something about it. And I don't know where this stems from. I really don't understand it, because we have a capacity of players out there that have so much energy and the ability to attack so much. And you look at our quality of our front line, and I don't understand where the philosophy of whether it's patience building or whatever it might be, because I know Conte doesn't want that. He wants us to just keep going. You see him on the touchline constantly throwing his arms about, chucking things about, and having a go at his players. Like, come on, guys, move forward. And I don't know where this comes from. So, yeah, Ennio is absolutely spot on there. The first half performance has to step up now, because, as I said earlier, other teams are catching on to this, especially now our players are coming out into the public after games and before games saying, yeah, we need to step this up. We can't keep going on like this. And it's been talked about, and apparently Conte was angry about it even after winning at that Forest game, which rightly so, is, we can't keep relying on that kind of play mentality. So we have to come out. And this game in particular, as you said, David, rightly so, they are always up for this game. They are always up for it. From the first second, we need to get control of this ball. I'm sure they'll have a funny 5 minutes, as they usually do in the beginning. But as soon as we get that ball, we have to control and dictate this game, not the other way around, even though they're at home. Simple as that.
100%. Sometimes I wonder, is it a tactic by Conte to keep us tight in the first half. So especially in away games, so that we're not out of the game before half time. And also to protect that back line, because we know, look, I get people want us to go and play sexy football, go and press and stuff. We do not have the players to play like that. The reason why we played counter-attack since Poch has left is due down to the quality of the players. There's a reason why Mourinho asked everyone to sit back on top of the fence. There's a reason why Conte is asking us to sit back into shape and protect that back line rather than go and press and hunt the ball back. So I wonder, is it a tactic? But look, we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens, Mr. Rodriguez. Beat yourself up, brother, and really appreciate the support. Brian Joshua Overby, big yourself up, my man. He says, my money is on a 30-yard pelter from Gentle Ben in the 9th minute.
Why not, mate? We'll take anything. I'll take off the arse of Dyer, off the fucking neck of Sanchez. As long as the ball goes in the back of the net, I don't care how it comes, when it comes. Like just again, like you were just talking about with this first half performance, I don't know if he's asking to do that, because you can't get away with it. Bigger teams will punish you, and then it's too much to come back on. I understand. Listen, we started. If you look at it, each of those games, the first 10 minutes, we've looked very, very bright.
Yeah.
Forest, we went 1-0 up. It just seems to be from the 10th minute till like the 38th minute, we're just like, okay, let's just sit back.
Yeah.
Which you all right, we've got players that could do that. And if you watch Match of the Day 2, when they're doing the breakdown and you see how quickly we go forward, it is a good, people know when we get the ball and break, we're deadly. But people will wise up to that and say, right, we need to counteract this and do this and this. And then we've got to find another way to show them we can play different style of football. And hopefully Basuma could be the key to it. I really think he could have like I said earlier, such a big involvement in this team. And with his performance, he could be that missing link to play the more attractive, more open football because of what he does. I think he is a huge key to everything, Basuma. I really do.
I also think getting Romero one side of Dyer and Langley the other will also see us improve ourselves, in terms of on-the-ball possession-based football. I really do believe that. But a lot of people have concern over the performances and stuff like that. We've actually picked up the most points in the top flight division since March, 39 points, winning 12, drawing 3, and only losing 2. So despite many people's reservations, what I would say is we're playing winning football. And for me, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. We had sexy football under Poch. What did it win us? And look, I'm not blaming Poch for that. I don't think he was given the extra tools that he probably deserved or he needed to be able to get us over the line. But we didn't win anything playing sexy football. So for me, I'm happy to sit back and see what this yields, in my opinion. Because for me, I just want to win games. I mean, there's absolutely nothing worse than losing games. Nothing worse. It ruins my weekend. I take it out on the missus. I don't speak to my family, and I don't like losing games. So although it's not the most glamorous, let's see where it can take us. And I'm sure performances will start to improve. And we've got a super chat here from Michael Hellman. He says, we need to prove we can go on a win run. Come on, you Spurs. But Brian, do you think we've proved that? Like the starter said, 39 points since March, the most informed team in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, when you back it up like that, the stats don't lie, do they? But
sometimes they can. Sometimes they can.
No, what I'm saying that is what you got to remember. A lot of that is last season, and as good as you say this run is, it means jack shit for now. What matters now is 4 games. We've won 3 and drawn 1, which let's face it, we talk about it before. Before Forest, we've taken 7 points away from what we took 0 last season. That can be a huge building block to go on with. But it's about right now. It's about right now. Last season, don't get me wrong, was a tremendous end to the season, barring Brentford and Brighton. But the rest were very, very positive. And we started again positively. And we've got this game. If we can get points from here, Fulham, and then I believe it's City, isn't it? It's City
Fulham. Yeah, Fulham Champions League game, I believe, then City.
Yeah. I'm talking Premier League. Take Champions League out.
Yeah.
Then it's just a wonderful, wonderful start. This has been a good start, but you got to remember right now. What you got to remember as well, there are teams like Liverpool and Chelsea that are dropping points, and we need to make sure we capitalise on it. Every time they drop, we got to pick up.
Mm.
And that's a huge sign, because we know now that Chelsea have dropped points. We know the Filth are playing today, and they could go 5 for 5 with a. So we've got to make sure we keep up with the pace. And like I said, the run that you said is brilliant. The most informed team over the amount of games you said, but I only really care about right now the 4 games we played this season.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. But look, hopefully it can keep winning. Look, my ideal was just not lose up until the City game, maybe get a point out Chelsea and win all the other games. And it looks like we're on course to do that. Hopefully we can do it tonight. But big up Michael, big up Joshua, big up Mr. Rodriguez for the support of We Are Tottenham TV. It's absolutely greatly appreciated, my man. And then we've got Maria Williams. I hope you're keeping well. Long time no see. It's good to see you. She says, long time no speak. Hope you're good. So she's thinking like me. Big up, Maria. She says, I trust the manager and what he thinks is best RE players. He knows we have games coming up, so we'll rotate. Come on, you Spurs. I mean, sorry, what would you say to Maria?
Yeah, it's spot on. I think, you know, we can complain about players all day long, but, you know, Conte is an elite manager. He knows what he's doing. We may not agree with some of those selections based on, you know, previous experiences of being in matches and stuff like this, but there's obviously a reason why he's picking them, whether it's, you know, good training mentality and perhaps just enough reliability in his mindset to pick them. So we can only trust this. We can only trust this. You know, I'm not going to ever go against Conte's decisions, because I think he's obviously a top manager. He's won many things, and he is probably the best manager we've had in a long, long time, with the exception, of course, Pochettino in his own right. But this is a step up, and you guys touched on it just a minute ago. I think we're in this growing up mentality now. We've got the top stadium, the top manager. We have got top players. Yes, we can still improve and add to this for sure, but we have to grow up from this now. Like, it's not just about winning 4 games and then hoping for the best in the next one. We want to try and win every single game. We're going to be a bit nervous about that Man City game coming up because of Haaland now in there, and they won't want to mess up like they did last season against us twice. So, you know, this is on the horizon. But yeah, like he said, like Maria said, is about like the squad rotation is important. The aspect of what Conte knows is the best formulation for us in each game. Like, we have to trust this. If we lose a game, it's because arguably, you know, of course, the other team played better than us, but we can't rest on our laurels. We can't have these really slow first half performances anymore. We have to come out all guns blazing and take that game by the scruff of the neck throughout the whole 90 minutes, not just sections of it. Yes, of course, other teams come for us like they do in any other game, but we have to start growing up now. We have to start realizing what our capability is and pushing forward. So yeah, Maria's absolutely spot on with all of that. And there are big games coming up. Fulham's not going to be easy, guys. Like, Fulham's not going to be easy.
No,
Mitrovic is in fine form. Yeah. Fulham, you know, of course, like they've had some really good games recently as well. So there is no easy game in this league, is there? So we just have to only look after ourselves. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Just worry about the 3 points every single game. When it comes to the last few games of the season, then let's worry about you know, who's where and stuff. As long as we keep winning our games and showing up, that's all that matters, and that's all we should be focusing on. That's all the top teams do. Trust me.
Yeah. And as well, look, I trust Antonio Conte's decisions. I don't think he's given any Spurs fan any reason not to trust him. I think this guy came in, took a club that was only going one way, and it was down the league, and ended up getting top 4 with players that, look, me and many others probably don't deem some of them fit enough to be here, in my opinion. And I think he's done an absolutely amazing job. And even with all with the new signings coming in, I just trust Conte phasing them in. At the end of the day, he was always going to have to sit there and trust the players from last year and keep them involved somehow and wait for them to maybe put in a bad performance before he starts bringing in these guys, because we can't have what we've had the last few years where players feel like they're not a part of the squad. You roll them out in these cup games and we're getting embarrassing defeats against part-time electricians, players down in League Two. You know what I mean? And it can't keep happening. So I think Conte is being true with his man management, and he's saying to these guys, I have faith in you. I'll keep putting you out there. Now it's rotation. Got to bring these guys in, but you're still a part of my squad. be ready, and keeping them on their toes and keeping them ready. I think it's very, very smart. I don't think Conte has given us any reason not to trust him whatsoever. But look, we big up Maria, really appreciate support, and we'll take this one, and then I have one more question for you guys. We'll talk about Harry Kane and Mikel Antonio, and then we'll end off so people can get the beers in the fridge and hopefully celebrate points. Because look, although we're a bit nervous with West Ham, they are not on great form. They've scored 1 goal this season, got 1 win, and even that goal took a deflection. So, they are not on form, but we'll take this from Who Got the Rico. And I just wanted to say, I purposely didn't want to touch on the transfer window tonight because this is a build-up for the West Ham game. I even think it's disrespectful journalists putting out rumours on the day of a game, if I'm being quite honest. So if anyone questioning why we haven't touched on it, this is why, because it's West Ham tonight, and then any time after that and all day tomorrow, we can talk transfer windows. But Who Got the Rico? Love the name. He says, if you could bring in one player, who would it be? I will start with you, Dagan, my man.
Yeah, I mean, let's be serious. I mean, when this money came in and we were promised we'd be eating at the top table, the first name when I messaged Simon was Dan James. So I'm saying it's got to be Dan James, that thoroughbred that plays for. Oh no, he can't get in the lead squad. No, jokes aside, it has to be a centre back. It has to be a top draw quality centre back. We should have gone for Gavardio like Chelsea did and actually put money in and say go on loan back to them. So at least he's ready to come in. But yeah, I would have said Skriniar, but that's not going to happen. I just hope that it is a top draw centre back. If I could sign one.
Interesting. I agree. Look, for me, I think it's got to be a centre back. I think if we sign a top drawer centre back, it'd have the same impact on us that Virgil van Dijk had on Liverpool, that Ruben Diaz has had on City. I mean, especially Van Dijk, he took Liverpool from probably being a laughing stock of 30 years, thinking they're still a big club, and then taking them to win a Premier League, Champions League, League Cup, FA Cup, Club World Championship. And there is a lot to be said for having a top drawer centre back. So for me, it would be that. But if I'm looking at what we've been told and stuff like that, which, look, whether we agree or disagree, that's for another day. But if we're looking at what we're being told, Gil looks like the move to Valencia has been held up because Tottenham are looking to bring someone in to replace him. If I'm going off that, I would like to see maybe a Yannick Carrasco come in here, Wilfried Zaha, someone like that. I do not want to see Dan James. I think look, I think I speak for most Spurs fans. It's just the guy failed at Man United, he's failing at Leeds. I don't understand why we're going to bring him to a big club with Premier League ambitions and in Champions League football. But Si, I mean, if you could bring in one, who would it be?
Dan James, I think, would be a good choice. Yeah. No, I think it's scraping the barrel again, isn't it, on the last day? I'm with Brian on most of these aspects. I mean, I think 12 months is long enough to identify players that you need, and you've got enough time to buy them at the beginning stages, but that's another topic. I think centre-back, again, like echoing what Brian says, like I think we need to start defining the team with a benchmark now. And I feel like Romero is a benchmark, and it should be a centre-back that is of his quality and obviously better if we can. Whether that cost might be is perhaps the hindrance. And yeah, I would like to see, I think someone mentioned in the comments a minute ago about a playmaker aspect. Now, I want to see how Basuma reacts. Like we've seen him at Brighton. I do think he has the ability to fit into that slot. If we find out over a few games that he's not, well, it's a bit too late because the window's closed anyway. But I do think we need to start identifying some extra recruitments in that area. The connection is what I'm talking about. The connection between the midfield and the forward. And hopefully Basuma is that person. I do think he can do that. It's about splitting the pass through when it's required, the threaded ball to Kane, like we had arguably in the Pochettino era, that you know that cut through when Dele Alli was in his prime kind of thing. So I think we're still missing that. But yeah, I think a centre back would be a priority simply because of the amount of games we're having and the quality of the games that we have coming up. Not just the Champions League, the Premier League as well. As we said, no game is easy here. We need to start defining the benchmark more. And I go back to that point about growing up as a team and as a club. You can't just do bits and pieces. You have to do the whole thing as much as possible, as quick as possible as you can. And, you know, some of this team is aging now, you know, like they're pushing the 30 barrier or just over 30. It needs to be addressed. And I'm sure, hopefully, Paratici has a strategy moving forwards. But for the here and now, I can't see anything happening today, to be honest. But it goes back to my point, why on earth this isn't all sorted out at the beginning. I thought we were on track when we brought in the first few players and getting it done early. But now we're here on the last day, kind of scraping barrels with names and pushing players out that we're not maybe going to replace. So I'd like a centre back, but I can't see one coming. That's for sure in the next few hours.
I just hope it's not like deadline days gone by where you wake up in the morning, couple of rumours, all of a sudden they go quiet. You get announced there's a new contract being signed, couple of youngsters go out on loan. You're sitting there till 11 p.m. with your fingers and toes crossed thinking, come on, surely give me one out of the blue. And every year I get let down. So hopefully this year it will change, but we'll wait and see. I wouldn't hold your breath. What I would say is get up 7 a.m., put on Sky Sports, check the latest room and go back to bed for the day, because you could have done that the last few. Bobby says, good to see Daigle Levy. Great work, guys. Come on.
Yeah, I know.
Big up.
Cheers, Bobby.
Big up, Bobby. Really appreciate the support, my man. But look, guys, you look at Mikel Antonio. This guy always scores against Tottenham. He's got 12 London Derby goals, and 6 of them are against Spurs. And he scored in each of his last 3 at the Track and Field Stadium. But Harry Kane has been involved in 7 games in his last 6 Premier League games, or 7 goals in his last 6 Premier League games against West Ham, scoring 4 and assisting 3. Who are we going to see on the back pages of the papers tomorrow, Daigle? Harry Kane or Mikel Antonio with his stupid Simpson dance celebrations?
Listen, that guy, you all have, there's teams or players that have opponents that they just always seem to find the back of the net against. They just have, like Drogba did against the Filth all the time. It was as obvious that it was going to happen. And unfortunately, you're right. Antonio does have this bloody knack of scoring against us. And I want to discount the one last season because we just had no idea what we were doing at blooming their stadium, because it was. Who's going to score? I think they both score, but I think Kane scores more. And let's face it, Harry Kane at the moment is just breaking records for fun. Every single, whether it be he's now the record goal scorer for goals at one Premier League club. He's now taken over Sergio Aguero. He's now tied with Andrew Cole. He's now scored 200 league. Everything this man does, this is a record-breaking season for him in so many ways. It will be the England record goal scorer by the end of the World Cup. He will be Tottenham's record goal scorer by the end of the season. And he is always going to dominate the back pages. And do you know what? He hasn't been playing his best either. But the only difference between him and Son is he is scoring. He is in the right place at the right time. That's the only difference.
Never scores in August, later.
Yeah, but that's what, you know what I mean? I mean, if we look at it at the end of last season, Kane was running games from midfield, from everywhere. He hasn't been that kind of player at the start this season, but he started scoring the goals. And let's face it, Harry Kane is in the Tottenham team to score goals, and he is the best in the world at doing it. So he takes the back pages out of those two, that's for sure.
I love that. And for you, Simon, I mean, honest opinion, you can say Antonio if you want. I don't think Spurs fans will like you very much, but you can say Antonio if you want.
I'm not going to say Antonio. I think I can't remember the home game that we had, but he went very missing in that game against us. So I think out of the two, Kane should have be head and shoulders above in the race of those. And as Brian said, for Kane, it's a big year for him for a number of reasons. But I also think Haaland's introduction to the Premier League is going to give another ignition to Kane as well, because he didn't get the Premier League Golden Boot last week. There was a bit of a slow start for him, and I think that he will want to put that right. And Haaland's probably going to be well up there. So I think for me, Kane's going to be up for these kind of games. And I think I saw the statistic earlier today about how many goals Kane scores in London derbies. And of course, Arsenal's at the top. But I was like, maybe just today would be quite nice to see him overtake Arsenal in his own league table. I think he's got four goals or something to do that. But it could be one of those games that if we get the positional play right and the energy right and the concentration, we could give West Ham a run for their money, and we could see Kane getting a few goals here. I'm not even joking. So, for me, it's Kane over the two, although Antonio is always a threat. We just need to, hopefully we've learned our lesson with him. This is the thing. If you've done your research as a player and as a professional, I'm sure Conte has as well. And we've got a set piece guru in here now. Let's see if this is all putting the pieces together of the puzzle, and we can actually not have this become a problem like it has done in previous games.
I hope so. Look, for me, I think it's obviously going to be number one, Harry Kane. He's got the hairstyle to take all the back pages and look good. For me, I do think Mikel Antonio will score. I mean, like I said, the fucker always scores against us. But Harry Kane, like Brian said, big season upon us, and he's scoring goals. So for me, I think he'll turn up tonight. I think if I was a betting man, I'd be putting a fiver on a Harry Kane brace today, if I'm being honest. But look, we're coming to the end of the show. So, Diego, why don't you tell people what's coming up on Tottenham on Tour and give us your score prediction?
So, I'm going for the same prediction that I went with Forest. I'm saying 3-2 Spurs. I just think this game's going to have goals in it. I think Kane's going to get a couple, and I'm hoping Son gets one. We all want Son to get a goal. So, let's see if he goes. So, Tottenham on Tour. We're on the push for 5,000 subscribers. I think we're about 80 away. So what's coming up? So obviously I'm working tomorrow.
70 away, Dave.
I'm 70 away. Oh, go on. The window closes tomorrow, and obviously I'm at work, and I don't finish till midnight, your time back home. So at 1:30, I will be going live on YouTube, and I will be giving my verdict of the transfer window. I'll be giving my verdict of has Levy fulfilled his promise. I will be giving it basically Daigle Unchained, the embargoed version, because I said after this money came in, I said after the money came in and everyone went mad at me, or people went mad at me going, "Oh, Daigle, what you done?" And I said, "Let's wait and see, shall we? Let's wait and see." And I refused to do this for a few months. As you can see, we're one day away. My training has worked. They're back up to here now, so we're doing that. Then on Friday. Then Friday, we've got the Late Late Show on WeAreTottenhamTV, 8 o'clock with me and my Brian Ireland. And there's a few more things coming next week, but that's the up and coming stuff. So anyone who's up at 1:30 in the morning, I know Simon's setting an alarm for it. So
I actually have.
So 1:30 that will be live. Let's just hope we get the most important thing is 3 points, and you got to remember the most successful thing. Wherever you are on this spectrum, no matter what happens, every single one of us all want a successful Tottenham Hotspur. And that's the one thing we all have in common.
100%. So everybody get over. Let's see if we can get them to 5K. Get over and smash that subscribe button. Si, have you anything you want to big up, my mate? And also, what's your score prediction?
I'm going 3-1 Tottenham. It's always a safe thing in my head. I think it might be closer than that, maybe a 2-1. But I think Tottenham will win for sure. I'm pretty confident about that, irrespective of how strong I'm sure West Ham will turn up today. Bigging up. I live in Portsmouth, so I just want to big up Dane Scarlett because he's absolutely flying down here on the coast. It's a privilege to go and watch him at the Portsmouth ground when I can. So look out for him, Spurs fans, because trust me, this guy is going to be phenomenal in the years to come. And the Harry replacement, and a big up to obviously the Portsmouth official Spurs club, which I'm now a member of and really enjoying. So you'll see more of us, I'm sure, as time goes by. But let's keep an eye out on the academy players that are out on loan. They're doing an incredible job, and looking forward to seeing them come to fruition. But for now, it's a big win for me tonight against the old spammers. And anyone that's going, I'm really interested to know how they deal and react with the big wall that they put up in the West Ham stadium, because apparently the away fans cannot see the home fans anymore. There's a big wall. I'm really interested to see what goes flying over that wall during and before and after that game. So come on, you Spurs.
Love that. Come on, you Spurs. And look, for me, guys, you can find me over the Irish Hotspur. I'm on the big push for 8K. We're only about 100 off. So if you could get over there and help make that happen, you don't have to watch my content. I appreciate if you did, but you don't have to. Even if you just smash the like button or subscribe button and let's get it up there, I'd be greatly appreciated. And at the end of the day, if you don't like what I have to say, I'm still a Spurs fan, so you should still be subscribed. But I'm going to go Tottenham 2-0. Modest 2-0 to beat them in West Ham in their cup final. I do hope that the players have been issued some eye protection walking out through that sea of bubbles. We don't want any bubbles getting in Harry Kane's eyes or that putting off his shooting before the game. So hopefully they're walking out in the goggles to protect their eyes. I'll be honest, in the back of my mind, I think we're actually going to beat them and beat them well tonight with a bigger scoreline. But I just want to sound modest, so I will go with a 2-0. But I'm confident with Tottenham. I think we were a bit off going forward against Forest. I think we're here to put that right tonight. And guys, make sure you stay tuned for the watch along coming up with Rez and Nick. So thank you for tuning in, everyone. Hopefully you smash that like button, that subscribe button as well. And thank you for the support with the super chats as well. Always lead to great talking points. Hopefully we see you back here for the Fulham one with the same energy. Let's fucking go and let's beat them Hammers. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, Spurs.